welcome to the Tabletop Games blog topic discussion. Value for money. The cost of tabletop games is a topic that keeps popping up. There's the question of whether games have now become overproduced, in the sense that the game components have become more expensive due to an increase in quantity, an increase in quality, or both. There's also the question of whether games have always been sold too cheaply, leaving everyone with tiny margins. There are many reasons that decide the cost of games, but I want to look at the other end of the chain. I want to see how consumers decide when a game is good value for money. Of course, everyone will use different criteria, and even when a game is seen as good value, it still doesn't mean it's affordable for everyone. We each have our own budgets to think about, but there are a number of ways people decide how to gauge the value of a game, so they can decide how that compares to the cost of buying it. I think a lot of people look at games as a form of entertainment, and therefore compare their cost with that of a night out with friends, family, or partner, for example. The question is how much fun a game provides for how long and for how many people. If a game provides 2 hours of entertainment for 4 people, for example, it could be compared to going to the cinema with your friends. So paying 20 quid for that game is probably cheaper than an evening for 4 of you in the cinema. Games also often provide more than just a couple of hours of fun, because you can usually play them multiple times. And there are games that take longer to play all the way through, either because they are heavier games or have some sort of campaign going. So suddenly a game costing £100 would be seen as good value for money when compared with a night at the cinema. As I said before, just because a game is good value for money doesn't mean everyone is happy to spend £100 on a game. Yet, if you look at it in the same way as going to the cinema, then maybe you could also consider splitting the cost with your friends, especially if you have a regular games group who all want to play that game multiple times, or be part of the whole campaign. That way the cost for each person is less, and you can all afford to buy the game, especially because you all have already decided that it's good value for money. Sometimes just doing a simple comparison between games and other forms of entertainment, purely based on the hours of fun they provide, doesn't work. There are occasions when a game provides something that no other form of entertainment can. In fact, I would argue that most games are very different in many ways. The social interaction is hugely important to me, and something I've not found in other forms of entertainment, for example. It could also be an element of nostalgia that a game gives you that you cannot recreate in other ways. I've been buying a few games recently that have a German theme. I'm not even sure if they're games I will enjoy playing, yet the nostalgia element made those games look like good value to me. And you may have different things that make a game special to you. Whatever that special factor is, it is going to be hard to put a value on it. However, I think if anything, it will make a game more precious and worth more to you. It will make an otherwise expensive game look a lot more like good value for money, and you may even buy it for that special factor alone. In a similar vein are deluxe editions of games, where the enhanced components or special mini expansions give you more enjoyment when playing with them than you would with the base version of the games. Additionally, deluxe editions often keep the monetary value much better, making them better value for money if you intend to sell them later. I am someone who generally buys deluxe versions of games if I can afford the extra money. Playing with metal coins gives me a lot more satisfaction than cardboard tokens, for example. So it gives me that extra element of fun, but it also means that I will most likely get my money back when it comes to selling, which will happen to many of my games due to the limited amount of space I have. Rare editions and out-of-print games are in the same category for the same reason, of course. They are usually very expensive in real monetary terms, but can be seen as great value for money when you consider that they are hard to get and will probably keep their value really well. So how do you decide when a game is good value for money? What measures do you use? Do you just go by that measure, or do you always have a hard monetary limit that you will never go above when buying games? Please share your thoughts in the comments on my blog at tabletopgamesblog.com. I'd love to hear how others decide whether a game is worth their money or not. Thank you for listening to this Tabletop Games blog topic discussion podcast. Please check the description below for links mentioned in this episode, as well as to the written version of this article on the blog. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, give us some stars, or leave a review. Please also tell your friends about me, and if you want to offer financial support, check out my Patreon and Ko-fi pages, links to which you'll find in the blog at tabletopgamesblog.com. So thank you again for listening, and I hope to see you again soon. This podcast was made possible by the generous help of my Patreon supporters: Royal Patron Sean Newman, Castle Guard David Miller, Dice Masters Alex Bardi, Paul Grogan and James Naylor, and Shining Lights, Robin Kay, Sarah Reed, Tim Wernick, and We're Not Wizards.